Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanam Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Narayanam Gurum Vande Sharanyam Bhakta Bandhavam Gauramanuvishtam Purnam Radhadasyam Pradayakam Rupanugacharya Varyam Rupa Manjari Preshtakam Patita Pavana Karuniyam Yugacharya Narayanam Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tuise Namaha Shama Sundara Shikanda Shekara Ismera Hasara Murali Manohara Radhikara Sikamam Kripanide Swapriya Charana Kinkarim Kuru Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyam Vrindai Tulasi Devi Ai Priyai Keshavascha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavatyai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So first of all, I begin offering my most humble obeisances to the dust of the lotus feet of Paramaradhatama, Shri Guru Pada Padmo, Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Paribrajacharya, Ashtotara Satasi Srimad, Shila Bhakti Vedanta, Narayana Goswami Maharaj, Shila Gurudeva. And to my most worshipable Shiksha and Sannyasa Guru, Nitalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pada, Shtotara Satasi Srimad, Shila Bhakti Vigyan, Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to all Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga, to all Tridandi Sannyasis, Brahmacharis, Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and to all the assembled devotees here today, my most respectful obeisances. So by the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudeva and all Mahabhagavatas Acharyas, we are able to assemble here one more time. So today we begin with the chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga. The yoga through the path of meditation. So in this chapter, many different types of yogas performed by the yogis will be described. Many different techniques. So the first one, Krishna says, those who perform their prescribed activities without desiring the results of their actions are actual sannyasis and yogis. Those who simply cease performing fire sacrifices, such as the Agnihotra Yagya, are not sannyasis. And those who merely give up all bodily activities are not yogis. So here Krishna is resuming the, summarizing the last chapter, okay? So basically he's saying that sannyasis are not the one who are just giving up all the duties, all the prescribed duties. This is not real sannyasi. Sannyasi is the one who is actually giving up the fruits of his actions. So he's detached from the fruits of his action, but not from the action itself, right? And the same way also the yogis. Yogi is not the one who just stop using his body or his senses. This is not a real yogi. Real yogi is the one who also renounce the fruits of his activities. So this is the meaning here. So in the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, he's saying, a person who is engaged in the practice of Ashtanga Yoga, the eightfold yoga system, should not suddenly give up Nishkama Karma or selflessly perform prescribed duties. For this reason, Sri Bhagavan says, Those who perform their scripturally prescribed duties, knowing them to be obligatory, without desiring the results, are actual sannyasis, because they have renounced the fruit of their actions. Okay? Since their minds are free from desires for sense enjoyment, such persons are also called yogis. Sannyasi or yogi, like a synonymous here, okay? Those who are renouncing the fruit of their action. They are the Nishkama Karma yogis. So, then Srila Gurudeva, in his commentary, he's saying, Ashtanga Yoga was described in a condensed form in the 3 verses at the end of the 5th chapter. You remember we discussed that by the end of the last chapter about Ashtanga Yoga. But now in this 6th chapter, the subject of these 3 verses is explained in detail. Okay, so here, 6th chapter, we are going to discuss a lot about the state of the yogis, those who perform Ashtanga Yoga. Because why is that? Because dhyana is one stage of Ashtanga Yoga, right? Yama niyama, asana pranayama, pratyahara dharana, dhyana, then samadhi. Verse number 2. O Arjuna, know that what the wise call cessation of action or karma sannyasa is the same as yoga, because one who is unable to give up the desire for the fruits of action and sense enjoyment can never become a yogi. So we should give up what? The desire for the fruits of our actions, and also the sense enjoyment. Whatever you do with detachment. You cannot control the result of that. You can do your best in whichever project or work you're going to engage yourself. You should do your best, but you should be detached from the fruits. Whatever may happen, that is under Krishna's control, under Krishna's desire, right? Paramatma is giving the fruits of our karmas, so it's up to him what type of fruits he wants to give us. So we shouldn't be attached to anything, either good or bad. Either good or bad. Not only we have the tendency to detach from the bad things, right? But we should always think that we should be detached also from the good things. And this is the most difficult part, right? If something goes wrong, we say, oh, okay, doesn't matter. I am detaching from this. But if something goes very well, you become very, very well attached, very much attached. And this is not good. Okay? Now we are going for the verse 5. A man must deliver himself from the material world through mental detachment and not allow the mind to degrade him, for the mind is simultaneously one's friend and one's own enemy. This is also a very famous verse. So your mind can be your friend or your enemy. So now the main subject of the chapter is being disclosed, is actually the mind. Krishna is going to discuss all about the mind. And he's going to explain in details why controlling the mind is so important for the yogi, for anyone in general, all types of yogis in general. Then the verse number 6. For that living entity who has conquered his mind, the mind is his friend. But for he who has not conquered his senses, his mind works against him just like an enemy. So unconquered mind becomes enemy, will take you to enjoy the senses. But controlled mind becomes your friend and helps you in your spiritual practice. Then verse 7. The yogi who is in control of his mind is free from both attachment and aversion to the dualities of heat and cold, happiness and misery, and honor and dishonor. The mind of such a yogi is deeply absorbed in trance. Then verse number 8. A person whose mind is satisfied by both knowledge, jnana, and the realization, vijnana, whose consciousness is unaffected by material transformation, who has conquered the senses, and who looks equally upon sand, stone and gold is said to have attained the perfection of yoga. So here is one of the definitions of yoga, okay, that Krishna gives along the Bhagavad-gita. Krishna gives maybe 4 or 5 definitions of yoga. And of course, we have to combine all of them to come to the proper picture of what yoga means for Krishna. But here he says something. He said, those who are self-realized, they have knowledge and realization, and they have conquered their senses. They are not distinguishing between gold and stone. So they have attained perfection in yoga. This is the equanimity, right? Remember chapter 2, we discussed this definition, samatam yoga uchate, the equipoised mood that we should have towards everything, seeing everything as equal in the sense that nothing can be compared to Krishna. Nothing can be compared to the super soul. So for us, apart from that, everything looks the same, right? Okay. Then verse 9. One who looks upon well-wishers, friends, enemies, the neutral, arbitrators, envious, relatives, saintly persons, and sinners with equal vision is most exalted. This is very difficult. This is not so easy. It's very beautiful to say and very easy to say, but not so easy. How are you going to look upon your enemies and your friends at the same way? So, and your relatives and the saintly persons and the sinners with equal vision. We have discussed this before in the previous chapters. I'm not going to describe that again. So let us move on. Now, verses 11 and 12. In a sanctified place, one should make a secure sitting place by placing kusha grass, deer skin, and then cloth on the ground. It should be neither too high nor too low. Sitting on that, one should practice yoga to purify the mind with one-pointed concentration and control all of his thoughts and activities. So this is describing how the yogi, he should prepare his place to perform his yoga. Then verses 13 and 14. Keeping one's body, neck and head erect and steady, one should fix one's vision solely on the tip of the nose, not looking elsewhere. Thus observing strict celibacy, being fearless and peaceful, and controlling the mind, one should practice yoga by meditating on me with one-pointed attention, remaining always devoted to me. Okay? So here is not just any type of yoga. This is the yoga to realize Krishna, to realize the Supreme. But of course, there are different techniques, and here Krishna is showing one of them. In the commentary, Srila Gurudev, he will give a very good reason for why we should sit straight when we are meditating, when we are chanting, when we are practicing, why our backbone should be straight. So Srila Gurudeva is saying, if the sitting posture is firm and comfortable, it helps in one's spiritual practice. There are 64 types of postures such as swastika, mayura, garuda, and padma. Patanjali has also said, Sthira Sukham Asanam. The position or asana should be firm and comfortable. In Svetasvatara Upanishad 2.8, the process of asana has been explained. Keeping the torso, head and neck in a straight line and controlling all the senses, one should practice yoga by absolving one's mind in meditating on the Supreme Spirit situated in the heart, means Paramatma. Such learned sadhakas cross over the terrible ocean of lust and anger in the material world by the boat of absolute transcendence. One may doubt the need to adopt an asana or posture for the gross body while remembering Bhagavan within the mind. So here Gurudev asks, I just need to remember Krishna, why I have to sit straight? what difference that can make to my practice? Then in this regard, Vedanta Sutra 417 says, Asina Sambhavat. One should remember Sri Hari while sitting in a firm posture or asana. Srila Baladeva Vidyabhusana explains in his commentary on the Vedanta Sutra named Govinda Bhashya, it is not possible to concentrate the chitta without a proper posture or asana. One's thoughts are distracted while walking, moving, standing, and sleeping, make it impossible to make the heart one-pointed. So you have to sit straight. This is also cited in the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:28:8 to 3:28:36. It is said that we should sit always straight. Sama asana ashinaha. Also in the scriptures that delineate the process of yoga, it is said, Antar laksho bahir drishti stira chitta susangataha. One's outer perception should be directed within, and one's mind should be stable due to auspicious association. I remember very clear my Gurudev giving us instructions. When you sit to chant your Gayatri, especially, you should sit with very straight back. Very straight back. And he himself used to sit like this till 90 years old. He used to sit like this. So that helps. That triggers, certain points of concentration that makes also the mind steady. So there is this connection between our spine, our chakras, and our mind. So everything should be in line when you practice. Verse 15. Thus, constantly keeping the mind absorbed in me through yoga, by following this process, a yogi whose mind is controlled can become situated in my splendor and attain peace in the form of nirvana, the complete cessation of material existence. So here Krishna uses the word nirvana. This word nirvana is very famous among the Buddhists, but it's not belonging to their vocabulary only. 5,000 years ago, Krishna already used this word, and nirvana means the cessation of material existence. But the context of Buddhists are different than the context of the yogis. Buddhists want to merge themselves into pure existence and dissolve their own selves. But yogis no. Yogis want to completely cessate the material existence by doing yoga, by uniting with the Supreme Lord and serving Him in the transcendental abode. Now verse 16. So Krishna says, O Arjuna, yoga cannot be perfected by one who abstains from eating or by one who eats excessively, nor by one who sleeps too much or sleeps too little. So we have to find a balance in sleeping and eating. It's very important. Also, further shloka will come where Krishna says also your recreation should be also balanced. Yoga means yogis also, they should recreate. They should means chill out. They should relax. They should come together and joke and speak some types of, funny words and relax a little bit. And we have seen that in our ashram life. Even there is this story narrated by Srila Bhaktivigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj regarding his Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhava Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Kumuda Santa Goswami Maharaj. They were observing one brahmachari in the ashram. And he was very much introspective. He was very much dedicated to service and study. He was never speaking to anyone. He was never joking. He was never out of his, concentration in his practice, everything. But then Srila Bhakti Kumuda Santa Goswami Maharaj, he noticed that it was a little bit too much. And then he came to Srila Madhava Goswami Maharaj and told him, oh, there is something wrong with this brahmachari. He's too serious. He's too focused. He's too, what to say? He's neglecting so much the outer world and the relation with the other brahmacharis and sannyasis, and this is not good. He should relax a little bit. Then he can keep up with his yogic life for long. Because if you become too much strong, you cannot tolerate. Then he told to Shlamada Maharaj came to speak with this brahmachari and told him that he should, sometimes come together with other brahmacharis and joke and play, not so much, but a little bit, this is good. And then he said, oh, are you advising me to perform prajalpa, to perform mundane talk and speak, worldly things? Are you advising me to break Mahaprabhu's instructions? So he begins to give like a lesson to Srila Madhava Goswami Maharaj. And then he said, oh, well, you can do as you wish. So after some time, what happened? That brahmachari, he left ashram and he married. So then Srila Bhakti Kumuda Santa Goswami Maharaj was right. And this is what I also got instructed when I joined. Sometimes even the brahmacharis, they used to do so much joking, so many things, and I use sometimes also to keep away and and do my things, but always trying to find a balance. Okay, this is very important. Then in the commentary here of this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he quotes one verse from the Yoga Shastra, in which says, one should half fill the belly with food and quarter fill it with water, leaving one quarter empty for the movement of air. So you should eat, divide your stomach in 4 parts. 2 parts with food, 1 part with water, and 1 should be empty. So the air can flow and the digestion can be done very nicely. Means it is the famous instruction, leave the table little bit hungry. It's the same thing. Little bit hungry means that space should be for air. Then digestion will be strong and you feel good. And Srila Gurudev, in his commentary, he says, to attain perfection in sadhana, the yogi should not practice yoga when he is hungry or tired, nor when his mind is disturbed. A person should not practice yoga when he is too cold, too hot, or in a hurry, because in doing so, he will not attain perfection. While chanting Harinam and following the various limbs of bhakti, and specifically while remembering Krishna's pastimes, one should carefully observe the above principles. In order to keep the mind concentrated, the sadhaka should spend some time chanting the holy names in a solitary place and with one pointed attention. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave these instructions also in Harinama Chintamani. So Srila Gurudev, he used to say, when you chant, you should go in a place that no one can see you. You should hold your japa mala in supreme regard. Keep your back straight and chant with concentration. If you can do that at least for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, then this is a very good sadhana. And if you can drop 1 tear while chanting, then this is perfection, Gurudev used to say. This is better than chanting lakhs of Harinam. So in the same way, Gurudev is giving here the same instructions. You have to understand one thing. Gita is a type of sutra also, because Krishna speaks also in short many things. So sometimes instructions for yogis and for bhaktas become like same, right? They intertwine themselves. So we should be able to also catch those things according to our needs. So as in this commentary, Gurudev is saying, the same thing that the yogis do, we also have to do for our chanting, because our chanting is our yoga. How to sit, how to put the posture, how to keep the mind. This is also for us, not only for the yogis, right? So all these things are very, very important. So when you sit for chanting, keep your back straight, sit in Padmasana if possible, cross leg, put your hand with the Japamala on your heart, on this height of your heart, close your eyes, half closed, and then you chant. Then this is very nice japa. Okay? Try to do that as much as we can, increasing every day, 5 minutes more, one round more, and then gradually it's going to be comfortable. And you can do your 16 rounds chanting like this, and maybe even more. And you can chant for 2 hours, 3 hours continuously like that. Okay? This is the best. This is how Gurudev used to do. And even if you are going to fall asleep, what you should do if you are a male person or a female person, whatever, if you have a long hair or a long sikha, you should tie your sikha on the door so that your head will not fall if you fall asleep. And then you are completely tied on your japa. These are the techniques that our Guru Varga used to do. This is true. Gurudev used to tie his sikha on the door and keep chanting, right? Very well. Now verse 17. For a person who is moderate in eating and recreation, balanced in work, and regulated in sleeping and wakefulness, his practice of yoga destroys all material miseries. So here he speaks about eating and recreation. You should be moderate. So you should recreate also. You should a little bit, relax sometimes. Balance in work, not working too much also, giving time for a spiritual practice, and always keeping in mind that a good yogi is the one who works in the time of working and practice in the time of practice. If you want to practice in the time of work and vice versa, then you're going to spoil your whole practice, right? Then in the commentary, Srila Gurudeva says, if a person is not moderate in eating and recreation, he faces various miseries that become an obstacle in his practice. Similarly, if his mind is flickering and agitated because of various anxieties, it is also not possible for him to attain perfection in his practice. Therefore, in a balanced manner, the practitioner should eat food that is easily digestible and nourishing. This is a very important thing that we should show there in India, in a mutt, and say easily digestible and nourishing. So for us, if it's not like that, then we cannot take that prasadam. We have to cook for ourselves, right? Because Gurudev is saying easily digestible and nourishing. So according to everyone's culture, according to everyone's habits, you have to follow that. It's not that because you are in some place you have to eat like them. Not possible. Then it is imperative for the practitioner of bhakti to follow the instructions given by Srila Rupa Goswami in Upadeshamrita. It is said that only a person who controls the urges of the mind, anger, tongue, and genitals can perform sadhana properly. Additionally, one should always keep a distance from the 6 unfavorable activities: overeating, over-endeavoring for mundane things, talking unnecessarily, having undue attachment to or disregard for rules and regulations, taking bad association, and maintaining a desire to follow a false philosophy. Okay? So in this way, we should check ourselves. And these activities which are not actually bhakti, we call this Sangha Siddha Bhakti. They're not actually bhakti, but they're going to support your bhakti. So don't think these things are useless because it's not directly bhakti. No, it's very important. Very, very important. Okay. Now let's move forward to the... So in the commentary of the verse, 20 to 25. Srila Gurudeva says about Patanjali, he says, Patanjali Muni's philosophical literature is the only bona fide literature on Ashtanga Yoga, because commentators do not understand its factual meaning. They say that, according to those who propound Vedanta, blissful conscious state of the self is actual liberation. This is illogical, because if one experiences bliss in the Kaivalya stage of impersonal monism, then there is duality. The experience itself is the person experiencing it. Therefore, Kaivalya or oneness is not possible at all. But these commentators do not understand that Patanjali Muni never stated this. In his concluding verse, he said, Purushartha shunyam gunanam prati prasavaha Kaivalyam swarupa prachista vachiti shaktiriti. Yoga Sutra 334. He says, the function of the real self, Chit Dharma, awakens when one is free from the four goals of human life, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, and when the modes of material nature do not cause any worldly disturbance. This state is called Kaivalya or oneness. In this state, one becomes situated in one's own Swarupa. It is then called Chit Shakti. So here what it's saying is that Patanjali is not an impersonalist, he's not a Mayavadi. He's not advocating that Kaivalya means oneness between you and Brahma, as if you are all the same thing. No. For him, Kaivalya means, first of all, to give up Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So Moksha means this liberation that all the Mayavadis want. So Patanjali is saying, no, we don't want liberation. So what Patanjali wants? Bhakti. I have already shown this so many times in my presentations about Yoga Sutras, how Patanjali is advocating Bhakti Yoga, but through the practice of Ashtanga, the same thing that Krishna is doing here. You remember when Krishna was saying few verses before, you have to sit, you have to concentrate, you have to do pranayama, you have to pratyahara, you have to withdraw the senses from the objects, then you have to perform dhyana, and then you meditate on me. Then samadhi will happen when you are absorbed in me. This is Ashtanga Yoga. Okay? So in this way, when you are situated in your own Swarupa, then this is called Chitti Shakti. So what is the definition of Mukti given in Srimad Bhagavatam? Muktir hitvanyatarupam swarupena vyavastitihi. Real liberation means when you are situated in your own Swarupa. Same thing that Patanjali is saying here. Same thing. So those who are interpreting the words of Patanjali wrong, they will say that he's a Mayavadi, but he's actually not a Mayavadi. And then Gurudev is saying, Ananda awakens, one is free from any perversion caused by the material modes of nature, means sattva, rajas, and tamas. It is a supreme goal of yoga. And later it will be explained that this is nothing else than bhakti. So this Ananda that Patanjali explains, this is nothing else than bhakti, Gurudev is saying. Then Gurudev, he goes on explaining about the two kinds of samadhis, sampragyata and asampragyata samadhi, which is basically sampragyata samadhi means there is the division of observer and observed, object and subject. And asampragyata, there is this complete, destruction, or that disappear completely the difference between the observer and the observed. Okay? Yes. All right. So let us move on to the verse number 30. Krishna says, very famous verse. Krishna says, Yo mam pashati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashati tasyaham na pranaya shami sachamina pranashati. For a person who sees me in all beings and sees all beings in me, I am never out of his vision and he is never out of mine. Very beautiful verse. Those who see me in everyone and see everyone in me, they always see me and I always see them. This is the samatvam, equanimity, or samadrish, right? That to, or samadarshina that we have seen last chapter. Then verse 32, Krishna says, O Arjuna, he who through self-realization sees all living entities to be like himself, and who considers their pleasure and pain to be his own, is the best yogi. That is my opinion, Krishna says. Means you consider all living entities to be like yourself, and consider their pleasure and pain to be his own, is the best yogi. It means that you never do to others what you don't like to that they do to you, right? So this is the, also you find in Bible all these things, the same type of teaching, right, that Jesus gave, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. This is the same thing. Then verse 34. Now Arjuna is saying, O Krishna, because the mind is by nature restless, powerful, obstinate, and capable of completely overpowering the intelligence, body, and senses, it seems as difficult to control as the wind. Now Arjuna is confused. He's saying, oh, Krishna, all these instructions you gave for the control of the mind, they're very difficult because the mind is completely uncontrolled. Can you control the wind? It's impossible. So Arjuna is saying to control the mind is as difficult as trying to control the wind. The next verse, 35, Krishna says, O mighty armed son of Kunti, undoubtedly the mind is restless and most difficult to control, but by constant practice and renunciation, it can be checked. Constantly. So you have to endeavor to, year after year, continue with your practice. And Krishna says, then it will be controlled. Have no doubt in this. But Krishna uses here two things, practice and renunciation, right? And in the commentary of Srila Gurudev, he's, sorry, in Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's quoting again Patanjali and saying that Patanjali also says the same thing. In the Sutra 12, Patanjali says, Abhyasa vairagyabhyam tam nirodha. By constant practice and true renunciation, the tendencies of the mind and heart can be controlled. So same thing that Krishna told, Patanjali also repeated. Practice and renunciation. These two things can allow you to control your mind. Then next one is verse 37. Then Arjuna asked, O Krishna, what is the destination of one who begins the yoga process with faith, but later, due to an uncontrolled mind, falls from the path of yoga practice and thus fails to attain perfection? In the next verse 38, he asks again, if a person falls from the processes of both karma and yoga and becomes deviated from the path of attaining spiritual realization, does he not perish like a riven cloud with no shelter anywhere? Now Arjuna is concerned about those who are practicing and failing. What's going to happen with them? Then Krishna in the verse 40, he answers, he says, O Partha, such an unsuccessful yogi does not perish, either in this world or the next, because, my dear friend, a person who is engaged in auspicious acts never attains an unfavorable destination. So now Krishna is giving him hope. Say, don't worry. Anyone who was engaged in any auspicious activity, any spiritual practice, he will never attain unfavorable destination. And in the commentary of Srila Gurudev, he says something very, very special here. Gurudev says that Krishna has called Arjuna Tata. Tata means son or dear son. So here, Krishna is showing affection to Arjuna. In the same way as a father expands himself in the form of his son to protect him, Sri Gurudev also affectionately calls his disciples, who is like his son, Tata. Here, Shri Krishna says that those who engage in yoga with faith never arrive at a degraded destination. So here Krishna is showing that, oh, certainly, either Gurudev or Krishna, they're looking at you. They are taking care of you as a son. So if a son is practicing how to walk and he's going to fall down, the father is right there to pick him up and to help him and to encourage him. So in the same way, Gurudev and Krishna, they are there for you. So if you fall down from your practice, they're going to encourage you, inspire you, and make you run again. Okay? And then to be more specific, in the verse 41, Krishna says, a person who deviates from the path of yoga after practicing it for a short time. Now he's speaking about those who are practicing for a short time. Okay? They attain the planets of the pious. And after enjoying there for many years, he takes birth in a virtuous and wealthy family in the earth. So if you start from short period and then you die, or perhaps you fall down, even then you're going to be elevated to higher planets when you can enjoy happiness there. And then when this karma is over, you come to the earth and take birth in a very high class family, so that you can have the proper environment to practice. So most of the people who are nowadays practicing yoga, they came from very high qualified background family, because they had all the conditions to practice nicely, all the conditions. But it also can be understood in another way, is that even if the person is born in a poor family, in a very uneducated family, he can join the ashram of his Gurudev, and there he finds all the facilities and all the knowledge to practice, because Guru is very rich. Guru is very knowledgeable and very rich as well. Nothing will be lacking for you there. And we have examples of that in our Sangha, for example. One of our sannyasis who already left this world, Bhaktivedanta Tirtha Maharaj, he was like this. He came from a very poor family, very uneducated village. Himself, he was a very also type of unintelligent person. He used to be also, the boys used to joke with him because he was not intelligent. But as soon as he joined the ashram, by the mercy of Gurudev and by his service and everything, he became one of the greatest pandits, scholars of all our Gaudiya tradition. And I remember once I asked him, Maharaj, how many shlokas have you memorized? How many verses have you memorized? And he said, oh, maybe 7,000. But he said, nowadays I only remember maybe about 3 or 4, because I don't use most of them. Means during the time I forgot, but because we don't use much. Then and then what was his service in the early times? He has to bring water from the street to fill up the tank in the ashram, so that people can have water during the day, because there was no system that the water would come directly from government pipes. So he used to wake up at 3 and go with 2 buckets up and down, up and down, up and down, about maybe 20 or 30 times every morning to fill up all the tanks in the mat. And then he told, every time I was going, I was memorizing 1 verse. So every day was like 30, 20, 30 shlokas every day he was memorizing like that. So this is how you see the mercy and power of Guru and service. Okay. So in this way, Krishna is saying this is the destiny for those who are short-term practicing. And in the next verse, verse 42, he's going to say, a person who deviates after practicing yoga for a long time takes his birth in the home of yogis who are endowed with great wisdom. Such a birth is undoubtedly very rare in this world. Okay, so Krishna is going to give you all the facilities. Don't look at government, don't look at policies, don't look at anything. This is secondary in the world. We are bound by Krishna's desire, by Krishna's mercy and action. And whatever you need for your practice, Krishna is going to give and provide. So don't worry about all these things. Just practice, and everything else is going to be arranged. Okay? Then the next verse, 43, Krishna is saying, O son of the Kurus, that unsuccessful yogi, through his connection with the super soul, regains the divine consciousness of his previous birth, and thereafter he again endeavors to attain complete perfection in yoga. But here you should always remember, this is bhakti yoga. Because bhakti yoga is never lost. Never lost. You always start from the point you stopped in next life. Okay? But the common yoga, I mean to say, the common yoga and the common jnana, you can lose it. If you fall, if you do not follow properly, you lose. You have to begin again. Okay? But you remember, this yoga here means everything connected to bhakti yoga. Okay? Not to just raw yoga or jnana. Then verse 45. However, that yogi who endeavors with great effort becomes freed from all sins after many births and ultimately becomes perfect. Thus he attains the supreme destination. So it means many births. Okay, in the commentary, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, he quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:24-28, in which he says, even the renowned sages who in a solitary place endeavor to have darshan of the lotus feet of Shri Krishna cannot attain perfection in one lifetime. Cannot. In one lifetime, not possible. It should be few lifetimes of practice. Okay? But our Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when asked about this, he said, if you practice with so much eagerness, I can deliver you in one lifetime. In this lifetime, he said, I can deliver you in this lifetime. So it may be your first, maybe your second, we don't know, but he said, I can deliver you in this lifetime. Because the words of Guru can even contradict the words of Krishna. Guru gives the last word, not Krishna. Understand? This is a secret of bhakti, because Krishna is controlled by the love of his devotee. So if the devotee says like so, then Krishna is bound to follow. But it's very difficult anyway. We should not expect that it's going to happen. But if we do not practice with eagerness, then in how many lifetimes are you going to be perfected? It may take hundreds of lives. So it should be all lives with eagerness. All lives you should practice with eagerness. Then that can be very short-term journey for you. Okay, so now just to finish, in the verse 46, Krishna now is going to establish the hierarchy of the yogis. Okay? So Krishna says, the yogi who worships Paramatma is considered superior to the ascetic, superior to the worshipper of impersonal aspect of the Supreme Brahma, and superior to the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, be a yogi. Be a yogi among all of them. And in the commentary, Srila Gurudev says, a Nishkama Karma Yogi is superior to one who performs severe austerities to fulfill his material desires. A Jnani is superior to the Nishkama Karma Yogi. And an Astanga Yogi is superior to the Jnani. And a Bhakti Yogi is superior to all of them, including the Ashtanga Yogi. Okay, so what is the hierarchy then? Nishkama Karma Yogi, Jnani, sorry, no? Then Ashtanga Yogi, and then Bhakti Yogi. This is the hierarchy. Okay? Can you repeat that for me, Akansha? Just make sure you got it right.
Yes. So Nishkarma is at the lower, then the Jnani, then the Ashtanga, and then the Bhakti Yogi.
Right. Yes. Then we have verse 47, which is the last verse, also very famous verse, in which Krishna says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena anantaratmana shradhavam bhajate yomam samyuktatam mataha. However, he who constantly performs bhajan of me with full faith, his mind incessantly attached to me, is, in my opinion, the topmost of all yogis. So Krishna says the Bhakti Yogi is the topmost of all yogis. Okay? So this is the end of this chapter about yoga.